Yo, one of the saddest stories from the World Cup is what happened to South Korea's coach.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
Team got knocked out of the competition, really put in subpar performances. And the Korean coach
Myung-bo
was, I mean, a hero
He's a
coming
legend.
into this tournament,
A
a legend.
legend of South
And I was
Korean
watching
football.
clips
Yeah.
from Korean national television where they're talking about the team. They've blurred his whole body. Like,
Persona non grata, like
Yo, but I mean,
in a very literal way.
they've blurred him like the way the news would blur a dead body. They don't. They say he mustn't come into stores. They say like.
Okay, so a couple of things. One,
that seems like it's too. Come on. Joe.
One, so just a little bit of history. Myung-bo led South Korea to their greatest ever finish
Semi-final,
at the 2002 World Cup. Yes, they lost the third place playoff to Turkey. So he won the bronze ball at that World Cup. He was the third best player at that World Cup. He's a legend. And so he becomes a coach. It was a controversial appointment in South Korea. But then the worst thing is South Korea has been fighting with the media, and I don't know whether you saw this the reports of the media like mocking Heung-min Son. So they've been fighting with the media. And then they didn't put up a good enough performance, lost to South Africa. And so this has now happened. He has gone from hero of South Korean football and in South Korea, normally when you fall from grace, you really do fall from grace. But I think the team came in a bit like Turkey. They came in very high on expectation. And when it's
the curse of the World Cup. When you come in
Uruguay
and people have already chosen you to go through, I do think it's one of the curses. Like look at how Team USA has performed because they were not the anointed ones.
Yes.
Look at how even South Africa performed. Look at how
Cape Verde and
but those are like small. They were always like I'm talking about like the middling teams have sort of done better because they didn't have the presumptive pressure on them.
The burden of expectation can be too much. Yes.
And I argue that it's not keeping your eye on the ball until it's in your hands or on your foot.
Okay. In which way? Like,
great athletes always say, no matter the level of game, whenever you see an athlete make a mistake, 99 times out of 100, it's because they took their eye off the ball at the last second. They were shooting, they took their eye off the ball. They were trapping, they took their eye off the ball. They were passing, they took their eye off the ball. And really all it is keeping your eye on the ball until the point where it feels like it's unnecessary, then taking your eye away.
Yes.
Right? I think teams that came into the World Cup looking at their next games already.
You're right, yes. At the next round, off the ball. They assumed they're already qualified, yes.
They took their eye off the ball. And so, the opposite of that, though, is African teams. I mean, South Africa's knocked out now.
Yes.
But 9 out of 10 African teams made it through to the knockout stages.
It's so funny you brought up that, old adage about, keep your eye on the ball, because it's almost like when you come into a World Cup, it sounds like a tired phrase, but they go like, take it a game at a time.
One game at a time.
Take it one game at a time. Don't plan for the future, one game at a time. So African teams, they actually expanded and increased the number of representatives from Africa from 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And so many Europeans, Gennaro Gattuso,
they slammed
the UEFA president, they went like, oh, this is a charity case. This is going to make the World Cup worse. How are these teams going to compete? And look,
meanwhile,
Africa,
Italy didn't even qualify for the World Cup.
Italy didn't make it. And then Africa, 90% of our representatives have made it to the knockout rounds. For me, this... when Shakira said it's time for Africa, she was 16 years too early, because this really has been, apart from Tunisia, and Tunisia has been, I feel bad for Tunisia because they conceded 6 goals. Was it 5 goals in their first game?
Yeah.
Fired their coach, conceded 4 in the next game, then conceded 3. So they were like, you could see the improvement coming game by game.
Yeah, but way too late.
It was way too late. And I feel sad for Tunisian fans because they have produced some of the best defenders I knew growing up, from Radi Jaidi to, the Hatem and Sami Trabelsi, the keeper Chokri. They have always had a good defensive side, and to see them fall apart the way they did. But let's not talk about Tunisia. They had a tough World Cup. Let's talk about every African team has really shown up and shown out.
But I'm worried
We
now.
need another sport, actually.
Yeah,
now we are demanding 2 more sports.
But now I'm worried now.
Because Nigeria stayed behind.
Can I tell you why I'm worried?
Okay.
I'm worried because I don't think the African teams still in the competition, maybe barring Senegal, have shown, in my opinion, enough incisiveness in front of goal.
That's the problem. That has been the problem.
Like I was waiting for DR Congo to maybe this is the awakening. I'm really excited for this. But like like Cote d'Ivoire, I thought they would be like more dangerous in front of goal. You know, I thought that Morocco would be more dangerous in front of goal. I thought that, like, I just thought that
apart
they
from
would be
Ismail
more,
Saibari, they have really struggled. Yes,
you know, and I hope it's just a moment.
I'll say this way, I disagree with you. I think actually that favors African teams.
You think
going
so?
through the knockout rounds, because then if you get a draw, you go into penalties.
Yeah, but you see, I think that's why South Africa got knocked out.
Yes,
because I think sometimes African teams, and maybe it's because, again, you know, sometimes you can't win. For a long time, African teams were told you don't know how to defend, you just play the game casually, and that's why you lose. Now African teams actually defend really, really well.
Very disciplined, yes.
But I think that can lead to a knockout sucker punch like South Africa experienced. Because you only need to concede
so you're saying
one goal.
The pendulum has swung from one side to the other. Because we used to be very attack-minded, cavalier.
Yes, South African, like African teams, not just South African. African teams used to lose, like, the final match score would be like 4-3.
Yes.
That was an African match at the World Cup.
Yes.
Full of excitement, losing, but man, what a great game. And then now it's always like 1-0, penalties, 1-0, penalties, 1-0, penalties. And my problem is, in the knockout stages, when you play against a team that has like moments of excellence with maybe players who are slightly better than you, if the Netherlands goes into a knockout match with Morocco, I worry more for Morocco than the Netherlands in the knockout part of a game.
Yes.
But in the match itself, I think Morocco can come back. They can swing things back and forth. They can, you know what I mean? That they can survive the momentum shifts. But I worry about teams who are too structured going into the game. I worry that they may not come out on the other side.
But
that's all I worry about.
I think for me that's a huge advantage, because if you can stop goals, because you know and again it's another of those old proverbs tired. Defenses win your championships, offenses win your games.
Yeah.
For me, I think if you're Cape Verde, let's say, you're not going to get into a scoring contest with Argentina. You'll never win it.
But that's Cape Verde.
Yes, I'm saying you'll never win it. But you can hope to stop Argentina. You can hope. That's like your best hope.
But my problem is, you know,
you need the structure to stop Argentina.
People use this. So if let's say you're in a boxing match with somebody, yes, blocking is a great way to stop them from hitting you. But you know what's also a great way to stop them from hitting them? Is punching them.
Knocking them out, yes.
Not even knocking them out. The fact that you throw a punch means the other
person
person has to think about throwing a punch at the same time. You know? And I just worry that in some of these games, the teams are less worried about throwing punches and more worried about blocking every punch. And I think that gives the other team a lot of time to figure out what's happening.
To build momentum,
calibrate the attack, etc., etc. In fact, the one thing I will say that might help them is the hydration breaks, actually. I do think the hydration breaks are going to help African teams.
Break momentum, yes.
Because it segments the game into 4, and it's a lot easier to keep your concentration in 20-minute periods than it is to keep it over 45 minutes.
Let's survive 20 minutes.
Boys, let's do it. 23 minutes, well done. 23 minutes, well done. Okay, 23 minutes, well done. 23. I do think it's easier to defend 4 quarters of a soccer game, football game,
as opposed to 2 halves, yes.